The only person who gets to torture my brother is me. I want to humiliate Bianca so badly that the bitter taste of defeat burns in her throat.
I think there's a lot of discussion whether Wednesday is autistic or not. I'm not going to be giving her a diagnosis because in order to do that, we'd have to go through all of the different developmental milestones and what she hit and when. And in order to do that properly, we'd have to be able to have a discussion with her. So together we're going to be sitting in the therapist chair and taking a look at some of the traits that Wednesday expresses that may be considered on the autistic spectrum.
Please excuse Wednesday. She's allergic to color.
Oh, wow. What happens to you?
I break out into hives and then the flesh peels off my bones.
Hyperreactivity to sensory input of things that you see and feeling sometimes overwhelmed by sights, sounds, feelings, smells is a trait that many people on the autistic spectrum feel. It's often difficult to filter these out and it can become overwhelming. Feeling more in control of your environment and how much of a sensory reaction you're going to have may make her feel more calm and relaxed. It might also just be that she prefers to be able to have the colors in her room be what she identifies with. And so having these bright colors don't really fit with her identity of who she is. And I think that control over your environment, especially when you're dorming with someone else, and that feeling of respect for your space is also really important.
This is my writing time.
Your writing time?
I devote an hour a day to my novel. Perhaps if you did the same, your blog might be coherent.
And that strict adherence to rules and rigidity being set in her patterns is one of the traits that is often expressed with people that are on the autistic spectrum. People can often feel a comfort in doing things that are in a fixed pattern. Change and difference can be really overwhelming, and that adds levels of not feeling in control of your environment, which can increase anxiety. It also can happen with people that are task-oriented and type A, where their product makes them feel proud, and people that are dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder. But people that are dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder would have to do it, not want to do it. Also, an autistic trait would be having very fixed and intense interests, knowing a lot about something with a great depth and breadth.
Who can tell us the name of this beauty?
Dendrophylax lindenii, first discovered on the Isle of Wight in 1854.
Very good, Wednesday.
Such as also her skills in being a forensic pathologist.
Lacerations and defensive wounds appear on both hands. What remains of the chest and torso indicates a frenzied attack. Subject has been almost entirely disemboweled.
When she has an interest, she wants to know everything about that interest and becomes fixated on finding this out in great depths. And it's not just one, it's in many different areas and fields. She likes to master her skills, which fits in with having fixated interests of abnormal intensity. She expected Thing to be on her side. He's not, he's on the colorful bed reading a magazine. I love Thing. It's such a passive-aggressive mood on Thing's part.
I snapped at you. I'll check my tone in the future. Now chop chop, before all our leads turn cold. What is it that you want? Hand cream. Consider it done.
She has difficulty in social reciprocity, that back and forth that we have when we're trying to make someone feel better. But she is trying to make an attempt to speak the language of the things that Thing matters to. No? She does want to be able to help soothe Thing by trying to give Thing the things that matter to him.
I know I'm stubborn, single-minded, and obsessive. But those are all traits of great writers.
And also people that may be neurodivergent.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm upset. Haven't you ever cried? Are you above that too?
She has a lot of difficulty in that normal back and forth, in that sharing of emotions. When someone else smiles or feels upset, her face still stays stoic, and that often gives us mixed messages where people don't know where they stand. Wednesday often expresses that difficulty in being able to connect.
I took my pet scorpion Nero out for his afternoon stroll. 2 of them held me down and made me watch, while the others ran Nero over. I cried my little black heart out. But tears don't fix anything, so I vowed to never do it again.
Also, our stunting of emotions can happen because of trauma or because they haven't been reciprocated or we've been taught that they're weakness and bad.
I'd be kicked out of my family pack with no prospect of finding a mate.
I'm failing to see the problem here.
I could die alone.
We all die alone, Enid.
You really suck at this. Cheering people up.
She has a difficulty to be able to connect to the emotions that Enid feels, which is one of the diagnostic criteria for someone on the autistic spectrum, and also for people that are less emotional, more analytical, or because of trauma have kind of held down their own emotions, which can lead to her inability or her difficulty in being able to make relationships with peers. But I also think that Wednesday has learned that the only person that she can really depend on is herself.
Hope you two have fun.
I'm not sure why you're becoming upset.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Call me crazy, Wednesday, but you keep giving me these signals.
It's not my fault I can't interpret your emotional Morse code.
One of the other diagnostic criteria is deficits in that nonverbal communication. And you can see the way that Wednesday holds herself, the way that she speaks, there's not much of her that's emoting. And she shares that it's hard for her to be able to interpret the emotions and what other people are actually giving to her in their nonverbal communication, which can often lead to us misinterpreting what other people mean or think. And this often comes at abnormalities of eye contact. Usually in the case, it's that you're not making direct eye contact. That uncanny valley feeling that we get when we're seeing Wednesday, that's when someone's a little bit off and makes us feel that she's a little bit more creepy. And we don't really interpret what she's thinking, but also could be because she's trying to overcompensate for a deficit that she's already noticed she has.
I thought we liked each other, but then you pull something like this and I have no idea where I stand. I mean, am I in the more than friend zone or just a pawn in some game you're playing?
Just dealing with a lot right now. I need to prioritize.
And you can see that she's masking as she's trying to compute these complex emotions that she's going through. And she also has the diagnostic criteria of that total lack of facial expression, except for a few specific cases. I do love this scene. It kind of reminds me of the blood rave scene from Blade, which I absolutely adored. So I do get how she enjoyed it.
We could have died tonight because of your stupid obsession.
But we didn't.
I've tried really hard to be your friend.
I never asked you to do that.
You didn't have to because that's what friends do.
These difficulties in being able to adapt or alter your behavior in order to fit in with your friend group. For Wednesday, she can become so obsessive and rigid and single-minded to the things that she thinks are important, which she then believes that everyone else should think is important as well, that sometimes she's missing that her friends may have different interests and need, and that need to feel cared and loved is also important to them.
Goody warned that I was destined to be alone. Maybe it's inevitable, but for the first time in my life, it doesn't feel good.
But I love that Wednesday was able to understand that she wants that connection. She wants to be able to make it work and learn and adapt. This is not an exhaustive set of criteria for someone that's on the autistic spectrum. And even though each criteria on its own could be able to fit into a range of different spectrums, just because you have one or more of these traits doesn't actually mean that you are on the autistic spectrum. And because you may have different traits, that doesn't mean that you're not. When you put them all together, that's how you would make a differential diagnosis as a whole. And if you hate ads and want to check out my other videos on psychology of your favorite shows, you should try out Nebula, where you can find my newly released Vox Machina compilation video, where I go through all of your favorite Vox Machina characters. And this is found only on Nebula. And that's where you can also find my 2-hour Arcane Jinx Complete Saga compilation video, ad-free, which is good because it's 2 hours long. And Nebula is bundled in for free when you sign up with today's sponsor, CuriosityStream, at curiositystream.com/Georgia Dow, or by clicking on the link below. Right now, today, because you're watching this video, you can get CuriosityStream's holiday sale for 42% off. That's less than the price of one fancy coffee for the entire year. And that includes thousands of amazing documentaries and series like David Eagleman's What is Reality? Neurologist and best-selling author David Eagleman reveals how our brains piece together reality and how we might expand our perception of the world around us. Signing up is the best way to support educational creators directly, and it's also the best deal in streaming today. For over 42% off, CuriosityStream less than $12 a year, and with Nebula bundled in for free. Yes, free. So just click on the button on the screen or head on over to curiositystream.com/Georgia Dow. Clicking on that link really does help out my channel, so thank you. And thank you to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video, and also thank you for your support. So I'll ask you the question, with all of these different traits that Wednesday expresses, you can let me know in the comments below if you think Wednesday is on the autistic spectrum.